Several thousand enthusiastic Texans are on hand to give the President and Mrs. Kennedy a warm welcome.
It was a huge event. Presidential visits are now routine for the country. They were not routine in 1963. And the coming of the Kennedys was hardly routine, no matter where they went, because of the nature of who they were. My assignment that day was to go to Love Field, cover the arrival of the Kennedys in Love Field, and stay at Love Field until the Kennedys left. And I was talking to the rewrite man, and he said, well, what about the bubble top? Is the bubble top going to be on the presidential limousine? The bubble top was just 6 pieces of plastic, 1/4-inch thick plexiglass. They weren't bulletproof or any of that sort of thing. They were put together with snaps, and they would cover the back of the car in case of bad weather. And Kennedy had always said, and it was very well known by everybody, including the Secret Service, that Kennedy didn't want that bubble top up unless there was a weather situation. He didn't want to have a public event like a motorcade and then for people to see him under glass. At any rate, standing at the top of the ramp was a Secret Service agent that I knew. He was from the Dallas office of the Secret Service, and I knew him because I was a federal reporter. So I said, and I looked down, and the cars were there, and I could see them, and the bubble top was, in fact, over the presidential limousine. So I said to him, look, Rewrite wants to know, are you going to keep this thing up? And he looks up the sky, and he says, well, it is clear. And then he hollers at a Secret Service agent, another Secret Service agent who's got a 2-way radio, and he says, check downtown. See what it's like downtown. So the guy goes, la, 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 and he hollers back, clear downtown. So the agent, the guy who I was talking to with me standing there, turns to the other agents who are standing around the cars, and he says, lose the bubble top. And so I watch him start to unzip it, unsnap it, and then I go to the rewrite and I say, bubble top is down, fine. A few minutes later, the motorcade is gone. And I finished my work on the telephone with the rewrite, and we'd already agreed we'd meet inside the restaurant there in Love Field at the terminal, have lunch. Just as I walked into the restaurant, a waitress came up and she was crying and she screamed, they shot the president, the Connally too. I immediately ran back outside, not outside the building, but I ran outside the restaurant, found a telephone on the wall, and I just went on to the police station. And I stayed at the police station, for the next 24 hours or so. Somebody had told me that there was a big meeting going on at in the police chief's office, which was up on the 3rd floor. Quiet up there. And after a while, the door opened, and out came the police chief, Jesse Curry, and 4 or 5 other men in suits. And one of them was his Secret Service man, Secret Service agent, that I had made the bubble top decision. My recollection was that he came over to me and he said, oh, Jim, if I just hadn't taken off the bubble top. And out of that came kind of, to me, if I just hadn't asked the question and all this kind of thing. And one of these what ifs of the Kennedy assassination.